Hi everyone, welcome to the Paint Log. My name is Keith, and we're going to talk about the minis I painted this week. I've kind of been in my head this week, not only with painting, I guess, but just I guess in life in general, and it happens. And I was kind of feeling bummed out. Like I was like, I didn't really feel productive painting. Um, but in getting ready for this and taking the pictures frantically after I got off of work, because I don't really have a lot of time to film these videos, I realized that I actually painted the most amount of figures. I think I painted 11 this week. 12, I guess, actually, if you count my airbrush experiment. And I guess that's what we'll talk about first. This weekend, I wanted to paint a miniature, or try to paint a miniature, completely with airbrush. I wanted it to be a decent size, and I didn't want it to break the bank. And so I looked into my collection of miniatures, and I happened to have an Umber Hulk from Nolver's Marvelous Miniature line. It was already pre-painted. I got one of the mystery boxes. I think it was the Monster Menagerie 1 box that they released. But I primed it over with gray, and then I just went to town in the airbrush. And you'll see the full model here in a second, but what I really wanted to talk about was the arms. And hopefully with the magic of video editing, the Umber Hulk's right arm will materialize, and then the Umber Hulk's left arm will materialize. If you take a look at the Umber Hulk's left arm, you can see that I was able to achieve like a semi-smooth coverage, and the cover doesn't really have any blemishes or bumps in it. Whereas if you compare that to the right arm, you will see that there are little spots that are lighter and little spots that are darker. And two things happened there. I thinned my paint way too much. And then two, I didn't maintain the appropriate distance for my airbrush. Like I held it really, really close. You don't need to necessarily hold it so close when you're spraying paint on a model, especially if the paint is super, super thin and is going to behave more like water. You're just going to blow it around, and that can get the consistency or that texture that we got here. This is also just, I guess, week 2 of me with the airbrush too. So I'm just kind of reporting my experience, not trying to say like gospel truth or anything like that. But yeah, I've rambled a little bit enough. I painted a couple other things with the airbrush, and you'll see some terrain and some photos that I've painted, just set up a little scene for you. So without further ado, first off, we have the Umber Hulk that I was talking about before. So if you have no idea what this bug-like creature is, this is from Dungeons and Dragons. It's an Umber Hulk. It's pretty scary. But I painted this completely with the airbrush just to try and figure out paint consistency, kind of like I was talking before, the right thinness, and if I could achieve the smoothest of blends. Now, I don't necessarily think I have the most high-end airbrush, so I don't know if that will be necessarily possible, or if I'll need to get a smaller needle in order to do that. But overall, I like it, and I think it came out pretty good. Next up, we have an animated cauldron. This is from the Animated Objects line from Wildspire Miniatures. I've been painting up a lot of these recently. Not this cauldron specifically, but a lot of these from that Animated Objects line. And again, joy to paint up. I actually painted this miniature and the next one that you will see last night frantically, because again, I said I was being underproductive in the week, or I felt like I was, and so I felt like I needed to get some more miniatures out. Maybe that's something I need to look out for in the future, because I like the pressure that this YouTube channel brings. It's kind of the reason I started it, just to give me a set deadline to do things, but I don't want to stress myself or rush and not try and progress at all. So food for thought. The second mini that I rushed to paint last night, this is a Three Musketeer cat from Archeon Miniatures, their Dungeons and Laser line, Animal Companions. And I painted a dog last week, so I wanted to paint a cat. I work with animals, so I enjoy spending time around them and just, I guess, thinking about them. But I don't know why I decided that I was going to try and highlight black and spend a lot of time on that last night and stay up real late to do it. I'm happy with how the miniature turned out, but that's the like white splotch that might come off as like, why did he put that there? But it's kind of to like mimic the light reflecting off of that part of the cat, and to not make it just a black object. So overall, was happy with how she turned out. Of course, it's me, and I talked about how much I loved those little goblin grots. So we have another goblin grot. Very, very happy with how the back of my musculature turned out. Now, it's still not perfect. There's always room for improvement. And just look at how crisp his leather straps look on his little feet. Oh my goodness, I'm happy with those two. You've seen one goblin. I guess you haven't seen them all. This one's yelling and has glasses. I guess that's something I want to talk about too. He has a lot of components, and I enjoyed painting him less than I did the other goblins, which were a little bit more simpler with just like smaller, less bits and bobs. But nevertheless, I still enjoyed painting. These little fellas are the reason that I felt so unproductive. I guess in my mind, productivity is different types of models, not the amount of models. So I painted little fungoids, super cute. They're from a game called Trails, which is just a random board game my girlfriend and I found at a flea market. She loves mushrooms. I wanted to paint them up for her. So I experimented with the airbrush again. Used the airbrush. I sprayed the tops, the red, and then the yellow, and then it took a while for me to figure it out, but I wrapped the tops once they were dry in saran wrap, and then sprayed the body, the paler yellow and that pink that you see, and then went around and touched up the pants with the individual colors. I'm super happy with how they turned out. They look very, very clean. Then finally, we have a little scene that I set up on a piece of terrain that I made just for use in my Dungeons and Dragons game and other things. I like to imagine the red mushrooms are guarding this mountain pass, and they don't know that the yellow mushrooms are about to launch a surprise attack. I do think I might showcase a little bit more terrain in the future. I have something planned for my D&D group that needs kind of like a rocky cave-like terrain, so maybe I'll try my hand at that instead of this grassy rocks. But I guess let me know if you want to see that. And with that, that's all the minis that I painted this week. Thank you to everyone who has commented, and subscribed in the past. I might have accidentally clickbaited everyone. I didn't plan on it, but in retrospect, noob airbrush experience probably wasn't the most accurate title. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more accurate on that, even if it did earn me a couple of subscribers. So I guess thank you for those who did subscribe. I appreciate you sticking around. Remember, if you liked the video, to like it, leave a comment down below about what your favorite mini was this week. Subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the bell notification if you want to get channel updates, which is really just when the video goes live. I post something to say the video went live, to be the first one to come. But with my YouTube shilling done, thank you very much for watching, and I'm Keith with the Paint Logs. Bye, everyone!